Pleased to say Madison's here, along with Kate McLoughlin, who is from who's the chef de mission for our Paralympic team. Lovely to see you both. Always great watching yourself back on telly, isn't it?
Bizarre every time.
It's always great. That's great. Well, and when we were at the store the other day, they've got on loop your achievements. Are you the type of person who loves watching it, got a photo of everything, got a medal everywhere, or you've just got all the trophies under the bed?
No, I think you know this you saw my face when you turned that corner and all the screens had the 800 from Tokyo on it. No, I haven't really watched that race back since Tokyo, so not particularly.
Well, you saw it on every possible screen at Harvey Norman in Balgala.
Yes.
Kate, give us an idea about some of the impediments that exist for people who may well have all of the focus like every other athlete, but they just don't connect into Paralympic programs.
Yeah, it's really tricky. There are so many different barriers for people to get into sport if you have a disability. And it's certainly something we're identifying now, lack of coaching staff, people understanding Paralympic sport, venues. The equipment's very expensive as well. Look at the chair that Maddie races in. Ridiculously expensive, isn't it? So there's lots of barriers, but it's something we need to focus on to make sure that we can increase the number of people.
How do you handle pressure? Because one of the things about the Paralympic team is that it's been so wildly successful over the years, right? And the assumption is, lazily amongst Australians, oh, yeah, well, quadruple the Olympic count, that's what's going to happen at the Paralympics, but for obvious reasons, effort required. How do you handle that pressure of expectation, that when you've been successful, you look like somebody who is on track for good performance? Do you put it out of your mind? How do you deal with that expectations go?
I do think it needs to be almost entirely intrinsic. I think there is so much external pressure to perform a certain way and be a certain kind of athlete. And the reality is, I think if you turn up thinking you're able to do that, you're almost setting yourself up for disaster. I think it's almost arrogant. When I line up on a start line at a Paralympic Games, I'm lining up next to 15 other women who are just as good as I am, and I've been an underdog before, and so I know what it feels like to win a race no one expects of you, and I would never discount any athlete on that line to the same thing. And I think that you turn up, every race exists in a vacuum. You race the race in front of you, and that's what you can do. So
forgive me getting you to repeat a story, but I've got to ask, right, which is when you are in a 40-kilometre race, what starts to hurt at what point in 40 Ks?
Yeah, so for myself, it's the position of the race chair that becomes the most painful. I think it's such an awkward position. We saw it on the screen just now. You're really down. You're cramped in something that you wouldn't normally find yourself in. And so I find that my stabilising muscles, like my ability to stay in that position from a really strong perspective, gives out more than my active movement muscles. We train them so well, and that's the key focus. But you kind of... there's so much more that goes into it. And
well, when we're watching you at 30 Ks, like obviously everything, but your back, your shoulder, your neck, what is just killing?
My soul, man. Like it's that point of the race, it's purely mental at that point. I think physically, you're gonna hit a wall, it's gonna hurt. You're gonna, be giving everything and having nothing left to give, but still having to find something every single time, and that never goes away. And I think what divides a Paralympic field in that final isn't who's physically the most prepared, because we're all exactly as prepared as each other. It's how you turn up. At that 37-kilometre mark, how do you get to the last 5 kilometres?
Look, as a prime athlete, I feel that every day. I understand. Now, also, Kate, give us an idea about what it's like to work with these athletes, because amazing people, but also high demand, high performance. What's it like?
Oh, I pinch myself every day. They're amazing. To see them compete, and often you have really tricky weeks. In the lead up to a Games, you've got 156 days to go. It's busy. But to go to a training session or to see an athlete compete and qualify, that's what reminds you why you do what you do. To see them on the world stage representing our country so brilliantly, it's pretty special.
Balgala, give them a round of applause. Go kick ass. Do your best in Paris. Thank you guys. You do Australia proud. Really do appreciate it.